Today we're going to talk about a company that has been on absolute fire this year, but nobody's talking about because it's not hot in the news cycle. Meaning it's not a Chinese EV or a SPAC, which, oh my god, I'm so tired of SPACs. I'm tired of hearing about them. It sounds like someone's spitting. SPAC. Another reason people aren't paying attention is because they pretty much disregarded it. They think it's just a company where underage kids can send nudes to each other while pedophiles pretend to be underage kids, and well, it's not good. So who cares about that stupid company? But no, you should care, especially as an investor, because this is one of those stocks that are going to continue to take off, and then people are going to look back in hindsight and be like, oh no, I should have got in it. Oh, what did I do? And you don't want to be one of those bum investors with the 2020 perfect vision in hindsight saying I woulda, shoulda, coulda. No, that's not cool. And the point of life is to be cool and to make money. And even as a consumer, this is important because guess what? If you're watching this video, you're probably old. And if you're thinking, what? I'm not old, AK. I just turned 24. Well, I'm sorry, but even at that age, you are on the old side of trends. And it's tough to accept that, but it happens. Like when I thought the word yeet was a pizza topping, but supposedly it is not. That's why you have entire research firms trying to figure out the mysterious Gen Z. And it just gets tougher because even if you aren't old, say you are just 24, you keep getting further and further removed from where the trends are starting. And it becomes just tougher to intuitively understand it like kids can, which is why I like to bother my little cousin's kids between, what are they, 9 and 13, 12. Whenever they're on their phones, I'm trying to see what's happening, and in return, they call me old. And then I can tell them a joke that's pretty good, but then they call it a dad joke. And then they once again say, AK, you're so old. And they call me AK because they have no respect for their elders. If I am indeed that old, then put some respect on my name, but this generation just doesn't care. Now, if you haven't figured out what company I'm talking about yet, well, I'm gonna tell you. The company is Snapchat. See that? It has a little ghost on the label to try and scare away all the pedophiles who have now moved to TikTok, so the company's safe. But that's not actually part of the bull thesis here, which we are going to get into, but I just want to show you what's happening with this stock price. You can see from the lows in March, the stock price is up almost 600%. It's doing amazing. And if that doesn't turn you on, then I don't know what will. And if you're scared because you're like, oh, could it possibly go higher? This is already a huge return. The answer is yes, and don't be scared. Higher prices lead to higher prices, and I will explain why. And I know you're already thinking, why Snapchat? Haven't all the other social media companies taken everything they have? For example, Instagram stories, wasn't that Snapchat completely? Well, that's what everyone thinks, and that's why everyone is wrong, and that's why this is a big opportunity, because they're getting it wrong. So the first thing we got to do to understand why Snapchat has such a long runway, and is really the biggest opportunity out of all the social media companies, we first got to break down what each social media company is actually providing. And I'm not talking about what their platforms are and what their features are. I'm talking about what actually drives users on their platforms. So going back into the psychology of the user, which is way more important. And of course, we're going to use our research from MacroOps because that's where we analyze all these companies. And real quick, just to look at the size of all the major social media platforms, you could see Facebook is at 60 billion monthly active users, huge. Twitter is at 330 million active users and 145 million daily active users, tiny. Instagram is at 1 billion active monthly users, sharing 40 billion pictures with an average of 3.5 billion daily likes. And Snapchat comes in at just 249 million daily active users. So really at the size of Twitter right now. And there's a reason why they say Twitter is so mismanaged, and it is, but that's a different video. Now, jumping into the drivers, what drives each platform? Well, for Facebook, it used to be a way to keep in touch with family and friends, but that has changed now in the last decade. Now people really use Facebook for entertainment, first of all, and also a big thing is self-documentation, which is why the only thing I see people post on Facebook nowadays is their engagement or the baby that they just had. Nothing else. They don't post anything. So I don't really know what it is, but I guess if you don't document that baby or that wedding, then it may not have really happened in the real world. I don't know. But that is the big self-documentation aspect of Facebook. Then if we move to Twitter, the main use there is for gratification and information sharing and social interaction. And Twitter is still a solid news source. That's for the information sharing. And you could still dunk on people with the social interaction. But most of the social interaction on the Twitter platform is mainly mental masturbation, which I have talked about before. Just venture capitalists posting about stupid stuff, just trying to make everyone say, ooh. Talking about how they're so interested in ant colonies companies, and then people commenting like, oh, you're so curious. And then there's a huge thread about how studying these ants will lead to the next billion-dollar company. But really what it will lead to is another few days of mental masturbation until they move on to the next stupid thing, like different types of fences that they use on farms. And then we have Instagram, which users place less emphasis on connection and relationship, and instead they care more about their personal identity and self-promotion. Instagram users also use this platform for surveillance and knowledge gathering. In fact, surveillance was the strongest motivation for Instagram usage. So there's a lot of angry ex-boyfriends and ex-girlfriends. And we all know with that surveillance, everyone knows everyone's surveilling everyone else, so that's why the self-promotion comes in. And the saddest thing that's happened with all this social media is when normal people have to promote themselves like celebrities, but they don't get any of the benefits of being a celebrity. Mainly the money and actual fame, if you can consider fame a benefit, which you can because it leads to more money. But anyway, the saddest thing is a person on Instagram having to act like an influencer when they have no sponsorships and no following. So you're really just trying to show yourself off to your tiny little bubble in a desperate attempt to keep your self-confidence up while you drown in credit card debt to make it all happen. And that's really a death trap of pain, and that's what most of Instagram is, and it's very sad. Now, Snapchat's edge in all this as a platform is that it's all about connection and self-expression. With Snapchat, it's not about showing off for everybody. It's all about personal connections to your closest friends in a personal and private way. It's about relationship building, not surveillance or self-promotion. So it's very different from these three. And this is creating a better business model than other social media platforms because it's self-reinforcing. So a platform that's going to encourage that intimate communication between friends and that self-expression, that creates deeper emotional ties. Compare that to the barrenness of a Facebook feed right now. It's all BS. So people on Snapchat that are really using it, they look forward to it because when they open it up, they got personalized messages waiting for them. It's the opposite of what you see on Instagram with a bunch of depressed people scrolling through the best versions of their friends, that's in quotation marks, lives. And that's why people spend more time on Snapchat and they use it more intensely than other social media apps. So the way you got to think about Snapchat and the whole sending pictures back and forth that disappear, it's really like a better form of texting. So remember, when texting first came out, old people were real confused about it, right? Our elders were like, why wouldn't you just call me? So this picture sending through Snapchat is like the next form of texting, where a lot of us might be like, why would you send a selfie? No one wants to see that. For the people using Snapchat, it's a much better way to communicate information. And really, intuitively, it makes sense, right? Like, why would you text something when you could use video or pictures? And there's that whole theory that we would have never had writing or reading or any of that if we always had the technology to be able to communicate through video or pictures. Because from the dawn of our time, we've been a storytelling species. And that was always face to face, like with full communication, all the verbal cues and physical cues, everything. The only reason we had to move to writing and text and all that and reading is because that was the only way to really spread information far. But think about now when we have video and say something like Snapchat, no need for writing anymore. It was a better way to communicate back then, and now it's going back to that same way of communication, face to face. So to compare all these different social media platforms, there have been a lot of studies done. And one of the big ones is using UNG theory, and that stands for uses and gratification theory. And basically it's a way to try to quantify how sticky each platform is by measuring how intensely a user uses it. And whichever one is the most sticky is going to be the most profitable and make us more money in the stock market, obviously, which we'll get into in a second. So if we look at the numbers of various studies, we see participants spend the greatest amount of time on Instagram, followed by Snapchat, Facebook, and then Twitter. But participants express the highest intensity to use Snapchat, followed by Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So higher intensity means they're more engaged, which is exactly what you want. So in all the different user motivations that we could use to analyze each different platform, so including things like self-documentation, which we mentioned before, social interaction, entertainment, time pass, and convenience, well, Snapchat takes the lead in 5 of those motivations. And with regards to self-expression, Instagram is number 1, but Snapchat is right behind it. Snapchat also takes the lead for medium appeal. People like using that type of style of communication the most. So Snapchat really dominates in all 5 use motivations for social media users. That makes it a very sticky product, especially compared to the other platforms. So what does this mean and why do these numbers matter? Well, it shows that people spend more time with greater intensity on Instagram and Snapchat rather than Facebook and Twitter, which makes sense because Facebook now, you jump on and you see a guy you haven't seen in 10 years and he pops up on your timeline as as an anti-vaxxer and QAnon nut, so what do? You don't want to be on that platform. Same with Twitter. It's tough to clean your feed and unfollow all the VC mental masturbation. So Instagram and Snapchat come out ahead, but Snapchat still comes ahead of Instagram because the numbers also reveal an inverse relationship between network size and the intensity to use that social media platform. So that means the more friends you have, again in quotation marks, on that social media platform, the less likely you are to engage with that media because it's just fake. Going back to Instagram, everything people are posting is fake. Everyone you follow is fake. Compare that to Snap, where things are actually real. Again, it's personalized. You're doing it with way less people. It's more one-on-one. It's more intimate. It's how you become intimate friends, which if you know this reference, comment down below and I will give you a heart, a very intimate heart. So again, how many Facebook friends do you have? Thousands? It's a full-time job if you were to actually maintain real relationships with them. Or the number of random people you follow on Twitter just clogs up trying to find the information that you want. Again, Snapchat, it's the way to go because it's not about amassing the most friends. There's no social game there. It's about deep personal connections with your closest friends through a photo-based communication. And that is a sustainable model. And again, why does this all matter? Why do I keep talking nonstop about these different platforms? Well, the idea is that you want to find the most sticky one with the most engaged and intense users, because that means that those users that are super involved are way more likely to buy stuff, which means more money for that company and more money for us investors when we invest. Because what is social media all about? It's all about advertising. These companies aren't just creating these platforms from the goodness of their heart. They're trying to manipulate people into buying things. Money moves the whole world. It's the reason for everything, sadly. And that's why this matters, because advertising drives revenue. So if the most engaged users are on Snapchat, that's where the advertising dollars are going to go. And the way Snap advertises is through their filters and lenses. Like this McDonald's Snapchat filter. See how excited this lady is to have fries falling on her head? While this guy in the back is like, white people, just keep doing white people things. But if this doesn't make you want McDonald's, then I don't know what will. It's better than this guy. Now this is the Snapchat filter I want to see. Turn me into this. But as corny as this Snapchat filter looks, it actually works really well. Maybe not specifically this McDonald's one, but in general, you get the idea. Because look how well it's integrating into something that you're already using, and it makes it kind of fun. So in that sense, Snap is so good at it because it reduces the irritation aspect that many advertisers face when they're promoting their brand on social media. Think about every time you have to sit through an ad on YouTube. I know you get a little mad. Or when you're scrolling through your timeline on Facebook, when you try to watch a video on Facebook and they make you sit through that, that's even worse. A lot of people on Twitter are complaining more and more because Twitter is finally trying to do something right and monetize more, but then they're seeing way too many ads on their tweet timeline. Whereas with Snap, with the filters, they're actually things that people choose to use and they have fun with it. Like here's a better example. You could be a taco head, get Gatorade poured on you. You could go to a terrible X-Men movie. Why did they even promote this? Or you could open wide for some mac and cheese. So much fun. Does this taco head remind anyone of those Gusher commercials? I am sure there was a Snapchat filter for that. But see, less irritation because they're not as in your face. Well, actually they are right in your face, but in a fun way. So, there's countless examples of these branded lenses. Oh, I don't know why I didn't just click this link. Okay, we got Gatorade Super Bowl lens. Okay, that looks fun. Taco Bell, Taco Shell. You got a Frappuccino. Why? Oh, this looks terrible. Happy Meal, fries falling on your head. Yes, that's the most fun, as we already discovered. Cheers Together, more Starbucks. American Express Small Business Saturday Geo Filter. Okay, you know what? I don't get it why these filters are so fun. And actually, I think this website is just giving horrible examples. I do not believe that these worked other than this Gatorade one, but I have seen some really good fun filters. So sorry, I got too sidetracked on filters, but the point is that they can entice brands and advertisers to create entertaining branded content. So these brand users inform Snap users about their products and services through the content. It's way more integrated than anything else, right? Can you think of even when we do brand deals on YouTube, we still got to announce it. And Snap users experience little to no irritation with these branded ads because they're a part of the entertainment experience. And this is just the start, right? Because when people talk about Snap, when they talk about the bull thesis, they don't just talk about what I'm talking about, which is how engaged the users are and how well the ads integrate, but they also talk about the fact that Snapchat, instead of being social media, it's a camera company, in the sense that they have have that kicker coming with augmented reality, AR, because Snap's lens technology that they are the best at turns any camera into an advertising machine, due to the fact that if you look through your camera through your phone, you could turn the normal world into a digital one. Entire cities will have multiple digital versions, or digital twins of themselves accessible to anyone through a device. Here's an example right here. This Malibu sign says, hey, open up your Snapchat. And when you do, and you look at it through the lens, this is what happens. Way more interactive ad, way more fun. You could actually play a little game, I think, on this sign in the real world. What other social media company is able to do this? Think about how many more people are going to get hit by cars by playing with this. But as long as they spend money before they die, then we're all good. The stock price will go up. So when you look at this stock chart right here, there's a reason why it's going up so furiously and why it's a good opportunity to get in as well. And like I said, they're just getting started because they're a company with a huge runway. They're one of the smaller social media companies, but they have the most engaged users with the best integration of ads. So there's an opportunity to make a lot of money with this stock. But if you want to see an even bigger opportunity in a bigger industry that affects even more people, the entire world, in fact, if you want to see that trend that I'm talking about, along with the stocks to play it and make money off of it, then click this video right here. Because if you like this Snapchat thesis, you're going to love the thesis in this video and how much money is possible there, because there are multiple stocks. So click this video right here and I will see you there.